Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We have a lot to go over today, a lot of model guidance to cover. Hope you've had a great day out there with the second day of this week. I've just recently gotten back from my co-op. If you didn't already know or couldn't tell, I am homeschooled, and we just got back not too long ago from that. I've had a good day. Nice to see some friends after winter break, finally. And So we're just gonna dive into this here. Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already, um, and let's just get right into it here. So what I just drew is some highs and lows here. Particularly these ones up here don't really matter. This high out west is really more the focus. So what you're looking at here is the 500 millibar height anomaly, and that is 6 kilometers or 3 or 4 miles up in the sky, straight above your head. And what this is showing you is whether we have above or below average pressures. So this is a good graphic to look at here when trying to determine the weather pattern near the surface. Even though this is well up in the atmosphere here, this plays a very crucial role in what happens at the surface. So these reds are above average temperatures and above average pressures, and these blues are lower pressures, which are typically colder air and a more active weather pattern. So let's just this was as of this morning, so this is what we were looking at. So we have a high out west centered over Northern California here, with our flow going up uh, near Alaska here and then back down, and then kind of gets more zonal as you go east. So this is an analysis. This is not modeled. So let's get everything off of the screen here and start to click through these. We have two time frames we're watching. You start to see these blues enter the eastern US and really maximize in strength right here. This is 18Z Thursday, which is about 1 p.m. Eastern time. So just after lunchtime on Thursday is when the lowest pressures start to enter areas of the eastern US. And this does not necessarily mean that it is the coldest right here or that it is snowing right here at this time. But the trough, with troughs we can make an axis here. So we have our trough that kind of goes like this, and then a line from where the low is through the bottom of it. So it's like that. The axis, that line I just drew, I'm going to get the other one off. That is where the center of it is. So when that passes you, wherever you are on a map here, this is just North America you see here. When that passes you, you are now on the back side of the trough. Even though the pressures can still be lower, that's what that is there. So the trough amplifies the most, takes on this neutral tilt, which means that that axis is just straight up and down. It's not tilted from the corners of your screen or anything like that. It looks just straight up and down. And we start to click on here. So that makes a pretty quick passage and is gone by Friday afternoon. But we still have this lower pressure, and a secondary lobe of cooler air makes its way down here. It loses some of its intensity as we're getting into Sunday. That's the second time frame. The first time frame is like Thursday into Friday, and the second one is Saturday into Sunday, maybe some of Monday. But its axis here is pretty much straight up and down as well. And we just have this kind of bowl of a trough over the eastern US and areas of Canada. Now we back this up to our time frame here, getting into Thursday afternoon. We just looked at this where we have a trough, but you also have the corresponding ridge. The atmosphere likes to be equal. So if you have one extreme of one, you're going to have one extreme of the other. And so this ridge out here is over areas of the western US, but it's really spiking up into Alaska. And what this is doing is sending our flow up into the Arctic regions. I'm going to draw this in a different color here. It's sending our flow up here into the Arctic, right? And then you can follow these lines. That's generally where the wind is going. And then it dives down just like that into the U.S., particularly the eastern U.S. And the same, you can draw these lines in a few different places, but the idea is the same. And then another feature of note is this ridge right here. What that's also doing is keeping the flow exiting this trough from circulating back around. So it's just what it's really doing. If you just cut through all of the noise that we just threw on your screen here, it leaves this region open. It doesn't let flow cross it really. Everything's just kind of flowing around inside that circle, and it lets it dive down the jet stream here into the southern and eastern United States. That's what we're looking at here. We need this ridging out west, and we need this ridging out here and over Greenland. That's what we want. And the same really, I mean, this good grief, this ridge out west really amplifies, really just peaks at intensity here, just south of Alaska, just spiking north. During our secondary time frame, actually, we lose some of that ridging over Greenland. I think it'll be okay. I don't think that's going to completely ruin our chances here. Flow absolutely diving down here into the eastern U.S. What we want to see as winter weather fans is this right here. It's not the perfect conditions, but it's a lot better than we see on average. So we move past this. Let's get past this time frame. It's Tuesday of next week. This is a week out now. Still have this trough over the eastern U.S. And then I do think we're going to have a warm-up here. This is hour 222. This is not this coming Thursday in a few days. This is the Thursday after that. We have a weak signal for a ridge out here across the southern tier of the country. And even though this is not a super strong signal like say you see out here, it's not those colors. Even though it's just muted, it brings us to near normal to slightly above. That's going to be a warm-up. I think I'm pretty confident in that. And we continue to move this out. The northern areas of the country are still cool. Amplifies the ridge a little bit out over the Atlantic, but still over the southern and eastern areas of the U.S. This is getting not into this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after. Another thing is we're also starting to get into an unreliable forecast range past 10 days. So all of this can change, and all of it will. It might be similar, but it's not going to be exactly like this. And we continue to get out here. Let's just ignore all the other frames until we get to the end. This is the end hour. This is this is Wednesday. It's not this coming Wednesday or the Wednesday. This is the 28th. And today is the 13th. So you can do the math on that. That's a ton of days. That's out there. That's weeks. Don't look too much into this, but this is a decent signal for a ridge out west, blocking these positive values here, this ridging in the higher latitudes that's keeping our flow stable up here, and a trough pattern out here. So that's a good signal for the long range. This is getting into later January for what still could be an active pattern. That's all I'm going to say. So that's all we have for this. And then we're going to move on to what everyone wants to see. These are the actual models that will tell us whether we get rain, snow, or nothing. So let's click through. This is the Euro from this morning. So it's very close out. This is 36 hours ahead. This is right out in front of us here. Let's get to Thursday morning. So you can see in these blue and yellow lines, that is our upper level patterns, just what I just showed you. Those lines are indicating that. See this deep digging trough here. And we have snow in the northeast, with a low riding through that area that's sub 1,000, almost 990. And we have a lot of moisture down here in the Gulf, but it's close, but it's a little bit too fast. And rather, the trough is a little bit too slow. All of the merging of this energy happens too late, so we might get snow offshore, but we don't really get anything big to happen inland. So let's see here. That moves on out. Storm system up over the northeast, providing some light snow. And then we get into Saturday. This is late Friday, getting into really early morning hours on Saturday. I'm going to change this back to this color here. So we see some band of moisture here, and it has a line where you've just got rain on the south and a wintry mix and snow on the north. Where that line sets up will be important. I don't think that this Saturday thing will be a huge deal, but it's possible that it is. And we continue rolling this through, and nothing really happens. We get some light snow up in the northeast, and then our time frame, just like that, our time frame is gone. This is getting into Sunday evening and early morning hours on Monday, and nothing happened. So some northwest flow snows, lake effect snow, and just a clipper rolling through the northeast and areas of southern Canada here. Could intensify a little bit near shore, up closer to Maine and Atlantic Canada. Throw some snow up there. And then any other features of note. This right here is what you want to see as a winter weather fan, is a lot of moisture, but our cold air is up to the north here. We can't get both things to happen at the same time. So this could change. Hopefully it does. And this could be a favorable pattern here. It's very possible that it is. We continue this on here, and the Euro starts to do some interesting long-range Euro things, like it kind of, like all models tend to do. Although this is more of a GFS thing normally. You have a low up here in Indiana and Iowa, somewhere in there, or Illinois and Iowa, sorry. And we have an expansive snow shield off to the north of it, areas of heavier snow embedded in it, and then some sort of wintry mix down here in that blue circle. So this could be interesting. This is 264 hours out. You can see these time frames up here if I forget to mention them. But this is getting into not this coming Saturday, but Saturday after. And this is possible. This isn't a crazy long range time frame, but it's kind of out there. So I have to watch this. But for areas further south, it means absolutely nothing, except maybe severe weather. That's a severe weather look right there. And then what? We get another one that rolls a little bit further to south. So the Central Plains could get some of whatever this is. More severe weather possible with that. Trough dives in, and that's the end of the run. So the Euro for the southeast is a miss. I won't sugarcoat it. So let's see if the GFS has anything better to offer us here. I doubt it. In fact, I already know it. It doesn't really. So right off the bat, I'll go ahead and tell you that the GFS, just like if you watched yesterday's video, has been consistent with a band here along the spine of the Appalachians of snow being possibly pretty intense. And we'll see if this happens or not, but especially these higher elevated regions could see a surprising amount of snow. I don't know numbers yet, but it is possible that these regions see a decent amount of snow. If I had to guess, in the highest elevated regions out here, which are pretty high, I would guess 4 to 6 inches is as your median to higher end values. And that's a lot of snow. It's not unheard of, but it's a decent amount. That's kind of a guess on my part. But we continue to click this through, low up over the northeast, bringing some snow to the north side of it. But again, our moisture is just too far south and a little bit too fast in its progression. So it doesn't stay around back here in the cold air long enough to do anything. Secondary time frame is getting into Saturday, more northwest flow things in the southern Appalachians. And the Euro does throw, I mean, you can probably barely see this. It throws some light snow bands and snow showers down here in areas of the southeast, but nothing that we have a lot of confidence in or that would be very impactful. Let's get this all the way zoomed back out. And we continue this on. Now this is, the GFS is trying to get some of this moisture back into cooler air. That's how close it is. If this were a few hundred miles different, which you might be thinking a few hundred miles is not small, but on this scale, this is the entire United States. 100 miles looks like that. I mean, that's not a lot at all. If it was just a few hundred miles different, we could be seeing a lot different of a scenario here. And the GFS decides to throw some snow back into the Outer Banks region, southeast North Carolina, the coastal regions of South Carolina, all the way up near Charlotte, but not quite to Charlotte. Continues on, Clipper through the northeast, as you would expect. More northwest flow things. And like I said, I mean, literally, this is about the same time frame. GFS is doing GFS things as we expect it to do. This is what some people consider a fantasy run. I don't live in the regions impacted by this, so I can't say that. We have this feature down here is what would be a severe weather threat. It may be cold core, or generally cold core, but still, it is definitely possible that you get severe weather out of this. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm not going to zoom into a region necessarily because this is so far out. But look at this. This is a very amplified system. We have snow. I'm going to draw where the snow is. And that right there. And then I'm going to take a different color. Our wintry mix, well, our wintry mix goes like this. And then rain everywhere to the south. Like this line down here could be a severe look. Who knows? Out in no man's land, but just look at it. I mean, this is really amplified, very, very heavy wet snow involved with this. And it rolls off here, and it actually manages to throw snow up the I-95 corridor into most of Virginia and some in North Carolina, some very light snow showers in South Carolina, and right on the back side of it. We have this pretty aggressive clipper here with a snow band over the western slopes of the Appalachians up into the Ohio Valley, all the way up to the Great Lakes. Again, still out here in no man's land. Keep that in mind. That's the end of the run. So the GFS is still throwing us fantasy runs, and I don't hate it, except for the fact that it's the GFS, and I don't really believe any of what I just saw. Could it happen? Yeah, and the pattern kind of favors it. It's not completely favorable for that kind of storm that we just saw. I mean, whatever this thing right here is to happen, but it definitely could, and this would be a very high impact winter storm. We'd have ice, freezing issues, heavy snow, wind on the backside of it, so you could get blizzard conditions, severe weather. If this actually happens, this will be quite the system to cover, and it lasts us a few days here. So could this happen? Yeah, it's very possible. Cold air will be in place, I really do believe, but I don't know if we'll get this. This is just typical GFS long range kind of garbage, kind of clutter actually. So let's look at the Canadian from this morning here and just see what it has. It's so weak with this northwest flow stuff. It barely lasts like 3 hours. Actually, yeah, it's 6 hour increments here, so it lasts less than 6 hours, and it's very light. First time frame moves through. Now the Canadian does something interesting. This is all light precipitation here, but it's kind of similar to the GFS, where it throws some moisture far enough north into this cold air that we get light snow showers in areas as far south as northwest Georgia, just inside the border of South Carolina, and then Tennessee and Kentucky would be the prime areas for this. And then we move that out, get some ice going possibly, and then right at the end of the, I mean, I don't want to put too much time into the Canadian, but it does offer it as a solution, so it's there. All right, this here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm not even going to look at the broad. I'm just going to go ahead and look at the Mid-Atlantic. These are if you're watching this channel, you're likely going to live in this sector right here. Since I live in this sector, there's a good chance you live somewhere in here. So this is a short range model. This is the RRFSA model, and it's done pretty decent with severe weather and winter weather. So we're going to look at it. It's one of the only long range models that goes out far enough. So we're going to start to click through these here and see what we get. These are 1 hour increments. So it's going to take a little while. Actually, we have a more recent run than this. Let's go ahead and click on that. I didn't notice that. Glad I looked. So to click these out here. This is, we'll just stop it right here. This is tomorrow afternoon at just about sundown, a little after sundown. Low rolling through the Midwest and Northeast. And we have snow, some areas of heavier and more aggressive snow here. On the back side of it, all rain except for some higher elevation snow showers on the east side. And then if you look down further to the south, the southern Appalachians do get some snow showers, but like if you compare this to the GFS, this is nowhere near as aggressive. They're smaller, they don't last as long. So who knows? We'll look at snowfall totals from this here in a minute. And then we have lake effect. Look at this lake effect snow band right here. Getting all the way down into Kentucky. Very narrow, but these things can do some crazy stuff. I mean, the amount of snow these things can drop in such little time and the wind inside of them, it's very interesting. And then, so we continue. In the trough, just like we were talking about earlier, you can see from these blue lines that the trough goes like this. That would tell us our axis of it is like that. So it's pretty much straight up and down. It's crossing through the Appalachians at this time and moves on out. And then this is getting into Friday. Bands of snow rolling through the Ohio Valley and Midwest up into the Northeast. Now, actually, I'm glad I remembered this. This area right here, this is getting into Saturday, early Saturday morning, in the very early morning hours, and late Friday. Some of these could be snow squalls. I don't know what the warning criteria is for those, but I believe it's not even as much about the snow. It's heavy snow, but it's also wind on a very localized basis. So essentially a mini blizzard. And inside that circle have been consistently modeled possible snow squalls in there. So watch out for that. It's possible. And that is the last frame that we have. Saturday in the early morning hours, like 1 a.m., midnight 1 a.m. So, yeah, that's all it's going to show us. And then we'll just do this really quick and click this out to the end here and let it load. And let's see what it does. So we'll zoom into some of these areas. For example, see how I was said earlier that you're good for 4 to 6 inches of snow at least in some of these very high elevated regions. That's showing up here. 6 inches. There's 9. There's another 6. But it's very, very locationally dependent. I don't think that this is going to break containment. What I mean by that is I don't think that the snow bands and the snow squalls in here will get out here at all. They haven't been modeled to. They're going to be too warm. If they break containment of the Appalachian Mountains, I think they're more likely to just be rain than they are snow. It's possible. And for those of you who live in that secondary circle I just drew, I'm hoping for you, but I don't think you're going to get it. Not off this. So this takes us through Saturday. Our second time frame is not included in this. So as we get closer, I'm very curious to see what this short range, high resolution guidance starts to bring us here. But like there is where that snow band sets up that we circled. 14 inches of snow in northern Indiana there. But you can see, I mean, they're sharp cutoffs from 10 inches to 3 inches over a pretty short distance. So locationally dependent. This is going to have to come down to the day of. and where the snowband sets up. You're not going to be able to model this. So with that being said, we're going to look at our temperatures here and just start to click through these. So this is getting into the first time frame. You can see these below average temperatures getting into eastern US. And this is very similar to our upper level pattern when it comes to colors. These blues are below average temperatures and reds are above average. It is wintertime, so you don't need these blues to be nearly as low as you would other times of the year. I'll just say it like that and go no further. Maybe a little bit of moderation here, a little bit of atmospheric recovery getting into Saturday, but it gets quickly replaced by the secondary cold air mass associated with the second wave of energy, second time frame. And then the stronger one is actually about a week out, exactly a week out, where we have some of these stronger. I don't think the cursor will tell me. It won't. So like based on the scale, it's like -12 to -20. So 12 to 20 degrees below average out across some of these areas of the upper Midwest. And that air mass moves through. We start to warm up. And what we really start to warm up down here across the Southeast, getting near and past 10 days. And then if we just take it to the end, this is, I'll click back onto it. We have some ridging out west, but a pretty sharp cutoff to a bowl of a trough. And these below average temperatures are showing up here because of it. So near the end of the month, most, if not all of the country will be near or below average, which is a good signal to see. So we're going to click back onto this. This is the last frame of what we were looking at. This is exactly the same, where you have a ridge out over the southwest and then a bowl of a trough out over everywhere else. And so it's cooler in response. So that is all I'm going to show you here. And so I'm just going to play this loop, make it a little bit faster. So with that being said, that is all that I have for you today. Glad to get this video out much earlier than yesterday's. I think I got it posted about 10 o'clock last night. Had some things come up, had some issues with recording, and didn't get out late. So very glad to get this out earlier. Hopefully y'all can see this before you start to wind down for your evening. But thank y'all for watching, and I will get another one out tomorrow afternoon at some point. So tune into that. We'll go over the latest stuff, and hopefully we have some interesting trends to go over. If not, we'll do exactly a video like this and just go over what we're seeing. Will we get snow? I don't know, but it's very possible. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.